Blackmore.
Bajiquan, one of the most popular martial arts out there in the world, and especially here in America. Like, the magnitude that this martial art took the world by storm through Kenji and several different manga and literature out there, anime, and especially gaming. Like, who could forget Virtual Fighter and Akira? I still get PTSD every time you sit there and hear him doing the shoulder strike and the oomph behind the impact of that. Ooh, Lord, it is chef's kiss. But what I'm going to be talking about here today is on fighting style variants. Did you know there is more than one particular form of Bajiquan that ends up making the whole martial art itself altogether a one strong foundation? Now, I'm going to be going over the 8 traditional forms of Bajiquan and the 12 other external modern forms on top of that. Yes, there is a total of 20 fist forms of this art. So some of these forms are not going to have video, unfortunately. I've tried looking high and low of different footage out there for some of these forms. Some of them do, but some don't. So please bear with me and along on the pronunciations of some of these, but I may just sit there and just put them up in the video. That way you can see their original names, but I'm also going to go with what their translations are. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode, folks, because we are also going to be breaking down as well why are they like just so popular when it comes to fighting games and to these developers. So let's roll the show. Now, some forms are going to have more meat on them than others when it comes to information. So I'll do my best to fully cover what I'm able to find on each and every single one of these 20 different forms. So let's start off with the first 8 traditional forms within Bajiquan, and we're gonna like sum all of them up as best as we can. Starting with the single hand strike. Its focus is basic posture, power generation, and simplicity. A single arm form teaching beginners how to channel explosive power through clean, efficient strikes. And the traditional elements is to prioritize fundamentals and structure. Next, we have the double hand strike. Its focus is coordination between both arms for defense and offense. It introduces simultaneous attack and defense movements. Traditional elements are enhances power through unified arm movements. Third, we have small frame form. Its focus is compact, intricate techniques, emphasizing precision over power. It's often used to refine body mechanics and control. Its traditional element is it reflects classical Bajiquan's emphasis on internal force. Fourth, we have the big frame form. Its focus is large, expansive movements for training power and range. It helps practitioners develop body connection and momentum. Traditional element is it highlights explosive power in wide stances and strikes. So many of those raw, uncut, just explosive movements that you end up seeing comes from this form. And I'm sure you can already come up with a bunch of different characters for that, but we'll save that towards the end of this 8 traditional forms. Fifth, we have the 6 big openings. Its focus is unlocking power through 6 fundamental explosive movements, which combine strikes with evasive maneuvers and redirections. its traditional element is it represents Bajiquan's hallmark explosive force that you all know and love. Next, we have the four directions, practicing angles and directions in combat, developing awareness of positioning and adaptability. Its traditional element is basic stepping patterns with Bajiquan's distinct stances. Seventh, we have the eight elbows, which is pretty much your elbow strikes in combat. This is where it really comes into play of this particular technique. And you're going to be training attacks from that of many different angles, just using the elbow is the best way I can put it. And its traditional element is the core feature of Bajiquan's combat philosophy. So think of all the different practitioners out there in fighting games that you know that uses the eight elbows. And last but not least, we have the Big Red Fist. Its integration of all Bajiquan concepts into a long form, demonstrating the art's versatility and martial prowess. And its traditional element is to showcase advanced techniques and traditions. The grandfather of representing the traditional forms of this martial art is, of course, Akira Yuki. And I will say runner-up of that position will be Leo from Taken. And following behind Leo is Kokoro in Dead or Alive. Now, in this next section, we're going to be covering the extended modern Bajiquan forms out there, starting with the entwining strike. Its focus is grappling, joint locks, and counters. The difference here, it introduces elements of Chin Na for controlling opponents. And next, we have the Tiger Leopard Fist. It mimics the ferocity and agility of a tiger and a leopard. Something that we have covered in the past before separately, and I'm sure that looks familiar to some of you, is the Hu Bao Quan. The difference, it adds an animal style influence which is uncommon in traditional Bajiquan. Next, we have the Cannon Fist, and I'm sure you all are familiar with that one too as well. So you're going to be seeing quite a bit of familiarity with these modern styles. And its focus is explosive bursts of energy in rapid succession. The difference is it amplifies speed and flow compared to traditional power emphasis of normal Bajiquan out there. Next, we have the Open Door Strike, which uses techniques for breaking through guards and defenses. The difference, it specializes in opening defensive gaps, which is more strategic than your normal traditional Bajiquan out there. Now we have the Falling Strike, which uses quite a bit of low stances and sweeping strikes. The difference is its increased mobility and focuses on lower body engagement. Unfortunately, there's not too much else information out there on the Falling Strike, so I do apologize that some of these really do not have too much information on it. But next we have the Flying Strike, which uses aerial techniques such as jumping strikes or kicks, and it adds a dynamic aerial elements diverging from the grounded focus of traditional Bajiquan. Now we have the Iron Mountain Lane, which is body checking and shoulder strikes, and I'm sure all of that is pretty familiar with you on that. And the emphasis on full body weight transfer to overwhelm opponents. So this is where you're going to really see that element of using those shoulder strikes and the body checking, which I'm sure you've seen even Akira uses this in certain moves in Virtual Fighter. And this is where that explosiveness, like I mentioned earlier, the oomph that he does in many of his moves. Next, we have the double push. And this is twin arm thrusting movements for simultaneous attack and defense. A key difference is its symmetrical form focuses on harmony and balance. And there is a particular Taken character that uses this combination too as well. And I'm not talking about Leo, and I'm sure you can end up finding out who that is. This next one is called the Drilling Fist, which is spiraling movements for basically piercing through attacks. And it borrows principles from other Chinese arts like Xingyi Quan for the spiraling energy. And Xingyi Quan is another familiar martial art that you see covered on this channel. There's quite a bit in this. I'm quite shocked on that myself. This next form is called the Fire Fist, which are rapid and aggressive strikes which are continuing pushing you forward with this momentum. And it does a modern focus on offense and pressure tactics compared to traditional Bajiquan. And this other one is called the Green Dragon Strike, which is flowing circular techniques. And the difference are it incorporates a softer, fluid approach while retaining power behind it. So you're pretty much deceiving your opponent with that aspect alone. And last but not least, we have what's called the Fusion form, blending Bajiquan's explosiveness with Tai Chi's softness and control. Yeah, even that I was mind blown myself, which now makes quite a bit more sense of why Bajiquan has a tiny bit of certain Tai Chi elements in there. But it does combine internal and external principles for a well-rounded practice. And the characters I feel that represent the modern extended form aspect, you're going to see a little bit of Leo in there too as well, while still doing some of the traditional forms. But you definitely will see like Yun from Street Fighter and Karen. You'll see her using even her own version of Bajiquan with a twist, along with Julia Chain from the Taken series. Is not only she is a Bajiquan practitioner, but also uses wrestling moves and another fighting style on top of that. But her take on Bajiquan fills this role, in my honest opinion. And then you have other characters, especially like we've covered in the Bloody Roar franchise, that you do have Shen Long and Long Shen, which are also covering the modern aspect of Bajiquan. And you see, the list is endless with these amount of characters. It's quite amazing. In my personal opinion, what makes Bajiquan so popular, not only just from the media, manga, anime, and stuff like that, but just the way when you look at this martial art, there is so much room to where these fighting game devs can really just play around with it, and especially with just how it can be just slow, graceful, and then out of nowhere, just very explosive in your face from the palm strikes, shoulder, and elbows. Like, it is such a beautiful and fascinating martial art to sit there and watch, especially if just so much power and oomph that you could put behind every single strike there is. And you pretty much see that with a lot of these different fighting game characters, like I mentioned before, from your Akira from Virtual Fighter, Leo with Taken, Yun in Street Fighter, Karen, which she has her own form of Bajiquan with a little twist to it. The list goes on. The fact that we just have these plethora of characters out there, it is always going to be such a fascinating thing to see what a lot of these fighting game devs really come up with when it comes with Bajiquan, and hopefully we do not see that train stopping going forward, and hopefully we end up seeing just more new creative ways and innovations that they sit there and show off this martial art, but also preserving it as well. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can stay updated on any new videos coming to the channel. And after the Bajiquan video, we will be going into savettes. So I hope you look forward to what I have cooking with that. And after that one, I'll pretty much end up throwing another community vote poll to see what would you guys love to see me cover fighting style variants. And I'll probably post that sometime later this week in the community tab to see what you guys would love to see me cover, and just not only take a deep dive, but also all these different characters and stuff throughout fighting games itself. And along with that, the Taekwondo one for SNK, that one's going to take me a little bit. I'm still working on that, so I just wanted to let you guys know I did not forget about that. I did not forget about the history behind the fighting styles for Mortal Kombat and some of the others that I have already announced. Those are being rendered as well, but I still have to go over and make sure a lot of this stuff does not get either copyright claimed or blocked in certain countries, because I'd rather not have any of these videos blocked in different countries, because I'd rather everyone get access to this and be able to see not only just the video, but just really these martial arts and the fighting games themselves of what we all love to talk about here on the channel. But thank you all for not only understanding, but as well of just supporting the channel. Like, I am eternally grateful for every single one of you, and I will say, look forward to, I'm probably going to end up start doing this soon, but be on the lookout for an interview with a highly regarded martial arts practitioner and teacher that has 2 schools within California and Atlanta, who also teaches at Georgia Tech. So you'll find out about that one real soon this week. But anyways, folks, this is Whitemore here, signing out. Catch you guys later. Stay safe out there, more importantly. Peace, y'all.
The study of Kung Fu fighting is ongoing. Don't ever hope to master all of them. So be careful.